All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to what is this, episode five, six?
It's episode six. We're now on to the second hand of episodes. I mean, we're making progress here, Dalton. We're getting more content out.
Yeah, oh wow. I completely lost track, I'll be honest. That's not a good sign, but hey, we're
That's
here.
all right. It's all right. Happens to the best of us.
And we got a fun-filled episode for you guys today. You'll get to hear, well, obviously our opinions on things. Um, uh, but a little kind of, we got a little treat for you guys with some all-star voting today. Oh, should we start with some NBA here, though, and get all that news all the way? It's been a big last few days for Timberwolves fans, and let's hop right in. What do you
Dalton,
got?
Dalton, I got two words for you. Naz Reid.
Yes,
Extension came out this week. He's got a 5 year, $125 million deal, and it's great to see a cult hero here in Minnesota get broken off.
yeah, big time pickup here. I don't really know what else to say there. I mean, he's been a key contributor here. That's just something the Timberwolves haven't been able to do in the recent years anyways, is sign, we've always kind of had that big stud, but we've never been able to sign, the guys that surround him to extension. So this is really big, I think, for the organization, and really a good time to be a T-Wolves fan.
Oh, absolutely. And it's cool to see like the Naz Reid story. He was undrafted, develops through the Iowa Wolves,
That's right.
goes to the NBA team, the Minnesota Wolves, becomes a cult hero. I mean, he had his own towel, own tattoos at some point. People just got the Naz Reid tattoos. Everybody loves him. And he's
Mhm.
able to be a key contributor to a team that has had a lot of recent success. Six man of the year. And I think this is a good extension to have if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, you can really tell that management is really recognizing, this is our time right now to win, and this is going to be this is a big extension. As people always say, you usually have a 4 to 5 year window, and we're in that right now, and being able to sign him through that window is huge.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that got extended this week. Julius Randle also signed a 3 year, $100 million contract with the T Wolves. So it's good to see where they're able to extend these guys at pretty reasonable prices.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some bargaining or money negotiations were pretty tough on each side, but that just shows to what kind of people they are and how much winning means to them. Maybe taking less than other teams might pay them, and because they realize, this is my chance to get a ring here. We're in that window. I love to see it. Julius Randle, great player, freaking. Uh, yeah, he's been a great addition ever since we got him, and this is big.
And I think you're also seeing the upside of trading Carl Anthony Towns.
Mhm.
Because obviously we get Julius Randle in the return, but we also free up some salary cap room that we can use on a Naz Reid and the next Rudy Gobert that we just selected with the pick we got back from the New York Knicks. And I love Cat, but we have three really good players that will help us win. And I think we got the better end of that return for Carl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, this is one of those rare situations in sports in general where both teams really felt like they won the trade. You know what I mean? The Cat looked awesome in the postseason this past year for the Knicks, and they feel like they're in their championship time frame here. So, they ended up firing Tom Thibodeau. Unfortunately, I was a big fan of him, but they felt like they're in their time frame to get a championship. And the T-Wolves, who are making great or having great success with that trade with their additions and freeing up salary cap. This is yeah one of the rare occasions where both teams really feel like they won the trade.
Oh, absolutely. Not to mention Julius Randle and then Dante DiVincenzo,
Mhm.
key contributor to the Wolves last year. And it'd be interesting to see how they progress as they get more cohesion, because that was probably the biggest problem with the Wolves was they're struggling to get cohesion earlier in the year. Unfortunately, this means that nah, we're gonna probably have to say goodbye to,
Mhm.
but it is what it is. It's just kind of it is the business, and that will happen. And I think it's interesting you mentioned Tom Thibodeau. Knicks still have not yet to find a replacement for him. We're after the draft. And another interesting move that I saw in the front office, the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment way relieved Masai Ujiri of his role as president of the Raptors a day after the draft took place. And you would think,
Wow.
yeah, it would you would think you'd want to do that when the regular season ended. Get your guy in place to get his guys drafted and whatnot and make his mark on the team. It's interesting to me that they make that move after the draft.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not sure what's going on there. Um,
I have I don't know, but I know that he was probably told before the draft that he was I'm gonna guess he was very hands off, right, especially during the draft, like because I have a feeling he knew he was dead man walking.
yeah,
Because like when they probably decided to make that decision, it's you might as well have somebody there. It's better than having nobody there. So I'm sure it was an interesting dynamic for sure. And the regular season ended a little while ago. Like the Raptors season ended a while ago.
right,
That feels like that's a time to make the move. Like you mentioned, Tom Thibodeau get fired. Yeah, it's understandable they don't have a coach right now because their season ended 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it's not
right.
they've had a lot of time interviewing some candidates. Don Staley, the women's basketball coach, chief among them. I'll be interested to see who they ended up hiring.
Yeah, you know, that'll be an interesting process. Hearing that she is one of the top candidates, that would do a few things for that organization. I mean, well, one, it'd be the first woman head coach in professional basketball, which, that, and with that comes a lot of endorsements. I feel like you get a lot of publicity there. Maybe get some unknown supporters that you didn't know you have come out, and so that could do wonders. And I hear she's a great coach, so it could be a really good move.
Yeah, obviously, that small market New York Knicks team needs all the publicity they can get. I mean, like I'm sure nobody would talk about that move if it were to happen. I'm sure, but no, the Knicks. I'm sure they're going to search far and wide to get the best coach. Like at the very start of the process, they were after the really big fish of current head coaches and couldn't get any of them to even have an interview. None of the teams said, "Hey, back off. We're not letting go of these guys. Like, find somebody else." And they're currently in the process of that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like New York's a unique kind of, or being the next head coach would be a unique job as well. Obviously big market, New York City and everything, but you know, for a first time head coach, I don't know how many coaches would want, that job as their first head coaching job. It's something that you dream of, but I don't prefer to be in a small market like Minnesota or OKC, but there's just so many unique dynamics to coaching in New York City. So,
Oh,
but
absolutely. You got like you got two big strikes against you if you become a first-time head coach with that Knicks. Obviously, the big market that you talked about, everybody talks about you. The sky is always falling after you lose a game, so it's not like you have a little bit of grace. Plus, it is high expectations there.
mhm.
Like they're coming off their best season in a quarter of a century. So it's like you're expected to win, and you're expected to win now, and you're gonna hear about it if you don't. And I just think that's a pressure cooker. But hey, sometimes pressure makes diamonds.
Oh, okay. I can't remember his name.
Head scratching moves this week. Like I was very surprised, like watching the draft, the New Orleans Pelicans. So they traded up 10 spots back in the lottery from 23 to 13 to draft Derek Queen from Maryland, and they also had to throw in an unprotected first round pick next year. Now, if you're an NBA fan, you know first round picks are pretty useless. Like they throw them around like they're candy. But like I think it's weird to me that you're gonna go to 13th, which pretty valuable, but it's not like it's Cooper Flag or gonna be a top 5 pick or anything like that. Plus now you got an unprotected pick, which if you're good, that's fine, but the Pelicans aren't this great team. Plus, it's not just their pick, it's the better of their pick or the Bucks pick. So now you're putting into your faith into another team that they're going to perform well, and they might trade Giannis too. So I'm very concerned that could get very ugly very fast for that Pelicans team.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on there. Yeah, and trading up 10 spots, in the NFL, I mean, that can make a huge difference in the NBA. I mean, a lot of those, mid to late first round guys, I mean, they're all pretty comparable to each other. And I mean, that just kind of says, they had their heart set on that guy. And I mean, I just wishing them the best here with that pick. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's also more difficult, like relying on another team to be good as well.
Mhm.
Like if the Bucks just completely tank, that could be a top five, top however much, and you're giving it away. Like I would keep that because you never know what that would be, but or maybe try to put protections. But I'm sure Atlanta was shrewd negotiators and wasn't gonna let that trade happen with protections on it. So well, hopefully it all works out, and maybe this will be a big nothing burger in 5 years.
Exactly.
Mm,
Now, moving on from the Pelicans draft, update me on Malik Beasley. I read briefly on it here, and something very interesting going on there.
Yeah, Malik Beasley is in big trouble, unfortunately. He's currently being investigated for ties to a gambling operation, which, as a professional athlete, that's just something you never want to be involved with. Malik Beasley was a former Timberwolf, and he did have his own run-ins with the law here. Spent an extended stay in Wright County jail for brandishing a weapon during a real estate visit at somebody else's house. I don't know what the full story was, but just he just keeps finding himself in bad situations, and like this could be even worse of a situation because there's a realistic possibility he doesn't come back from this if it goes the wrong way.
Yeah, something. Yeah, uh, gambling in sports is something that we've unfortunately kind of seen more and more of the last few years, especially in college stuff with the whole Iowa and Iowa State thing just the last few years. But it's not going away. I mean, it's easier than ever to bet on stuff, but it's also easier than ever to get caught. It's just like the situation here, so it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's even worse for Malik Beasley. Even if he is innocent, everything that since it's come out, everybody's just responding with lowlights of his, like, "Oh, come on, man!"
Mm.
Like now everybody's just exposing his worst moments, like recently, and it's like everybody's like, "Yeah, he looks guilty," and like that's almost worse.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't want to look that bad. Yeah, I mean, I hope for Malik that this is just a big nothing burger and he's gonna get off all scot-free, but we saw this with Jonte Porter. He got busted for it and is out of the league right now, and like we don't want to see that happen to anybody else.
right. Yeah, just that's interesting. Yeah, you'd think uh, pro pro players would learn, but I guess some don't, and yeah, just bad deal.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if how many cautionary tales are we gonna have?
Right. I mean, we've all seen it, with Pete Rose, I mean, being banned. Um, and that was really kind of the first known, case to ever come out about gambling in sports, it seems like. And, it's just coming out more and more. Uh, every year it seems like, somebody's getting in trouble for it. Just so, yeah, weird, but, unfortunate.
Yeah, hopefully it all resolves itself out and the proper punishments are doled out for this, if whether or not the he's guilty. Obviously, he's going to be kicked out of the league, innocent. Hopefully, nothing happens to him. Just a bad look overall for the NBA and Malik Beasley.